don't know if 400 will do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I will tell you this, and I know Tom's smart enough to realize there's a difference between spending and investing. And Kyle Tucker is a complete player.
And our old friend, Cy Young winner, and just one of the best guys out there, Rick Sutcliffe, joining us on Waddle and Silvy. What's up, Sut?
I'm all good, buddy. I just was talking to Tyler about it. It must be a slow. How many guys told you no for the interview today before you finally got around to me?
Yeah, Cliff Floyd said no. I think he's out of town. Dexter Fowler isn't doing a game for a few. So
I think Demp. Didn't we call Demp too?
Yeah, but Demp's got like a music something that he's planning. So we go, maybe he'd pick up the phone for us.
Always. You know that.
So give us the scouting report. What is Petco? And you know San Diego very, very well. What is that environment like?
It's been going on for a while. Honestly, Marco, a couple years ago when they beat the Dodgers in the playoffs, their past owner, Peter Seidler, who passed away, I mean, he put every dollar he had into making a contender here. They brought in Juan Soto. They've got a lot of star power. When they get a lead, they hold it. They should have beat the Dodgers last year. They had them down 2-1. They had Game 4 at Petco, and they let it get away. The Dodgers went on to win the World Series, but there's a lot of good things going on. And as you talked about, and Boog mentioned it during the show, the Gallagher way that they have at Petco is a lot like the one at Wrigley right now. The Gallagher people are doing a great job giving people an opportunity to be at the ballpark when they actually can't get a ticket to get in.
Hey, Sut, the outcome last night wasn't what everyone wanted, but the start to the season's been very impressive. What are your overall thoughts on the 2025 Cubs to this point?
I totally agree with you. And I'll be honest with you. Yesterday morning in San Diego, I felt my first earthquake. And, I mean, everybody did. The whole team was talking about it. The dogs were barking. I went outside to see if there was any damage. I kind of think that was a sign of things to come for the team, as you mentioned, that have been playing so well. Hey, they're in first place right now. There's some things to be sorted out. It's as tough a 20-game stretch right now as anybody in baseball, or the Cubs will have all year long. As you know, the only series loss was the one in Tokyo. The great news, win a couple of games here, and then after tomorrow, there's 9 games at home with 3 off days, and hopefully you can reset. And Craig Counsell's, he's got his hands full. He knew last year what was going on with the bullpen. There's still some evaluating before this team can evolve. They're trying to figure out the third base position. I think the most important part, though, is building that circle of trust to get a little bit bigger down there in that bullpen. Because I think you guys feel the same way. In the top of the 8th inning, when they scored a run off Jason Adam, I go, we're going to win this game. And it just didn't happen. The bullpen gave up too many, and it got away from us. But, hey, Schroeder's on the mound tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. So tell us, back to the earthquake thing. I was the only earthquake I ever experienced was like a 4-3, but you could really feel it. And that was over a 5 yesterday. What was it like? Where were you? How did it feel?
Marco, I didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden, because I've never felt one. And I'm like going, okay, now I got it. And once it boomed, I mean, it hit, it just felt, everything shook. And all of a sudden I'm like, what was that? And then it did it again. And, that's when I thought, okay, there were helicopters in the air. There were sirens all around. I'm sure there were some things that went on that some houses or some structures that got hurt. But fortunately, I think we're okay.
Yeah. You always told us, too, that we would be okay with PCA. And I remember we did a hit. I want to say this was at peak Crow-Armstrong struggle period, and you came on the air like you've done before. You sang the praises of Kyle Hendricks. You sang the praises of Dylan Cease. You told us that they would be great, and you said to us while he was struggling most, guys, don't worry, PCA's fine. And I doubled back. I go, Suck, come on, are you the way he looks? And you said, Marco, I'm telling you, He's going to be fine. So is this now what he's done these last few games? Are we starting to see the player evolve into what you think he's going to be?
You're starting to see the player that he's always been. You got to remember that he's always been the youngest player in every league. And I'll tell you where it all, in my opinion, turned around for him. We were in Kansas City, and I think he was 0 for 20 or something. And he asked me to go out in the field. He took my grandson Ryder with him, and Bobby Witt Jr. came over. And they started talking and everything. And I looked at Bobby, and I go, hey, talk to him. What's going on here? And he goes, yeah. He goes, PCA Witt, you've always been better than I ever was. You're terrific. What's going on? What are you doing? And I don't know why, but he started laughing about it. It seems like he relaxed a little bit. And we know what he did the second half. He got off to a slow start. I got to tell you guys a funny story. We're in Tokyo, right? I spent a lot of time with the team in spring training. I get invited to go over there. We're out on the field, and Ken Griffey Jr. is there. And Griffey Jr. and I are extremely tight. We've been involved with the Nike trips for 20 years. The first one I went on with his dad. So we go back a long ways. Anyway, I think about Pete Crow, and I take Griff into the clubhouse. And we're looking at him, and Griff goes, hey, nice to meet you. And I go, Griff, I'm telling you, he's a better center fielder than you ever thought about being.
Oh.
And Griff looked at him, and he goes, I've heard you're okay. He goes, but hey, Pete, he goes, when you hit your 600th home run, give me a call, okay?
That's outstanding.
I'm telling you, even the fans in Tokyo have figured it out, and a lot of them were Cub fans. They started chanting PCA when he would come to home plate. The stretch that they've been, I think Craig Counsell said it best. What he's been doing lately in L.A. and down here the last couple of days, he's doing it against some of the best pitching in baseball. And with that going on right now, you just expect it to continue. I know I do.
So where is his ideal spot eventually in the batting order? Is he a pure leadoff guy?
I know he wants to be there. But I appreciate what Craig Counsell's doing right now. First of all, up until last night, in the last 11 games, Ian Happ scored 11 runs. That's kind of what you look for there. Him and Tucker have been getting on base. Suzuki's had a lot of RBI opportunities. Michael Bush has been hitting with people on base. Craig Counsell knows more about it than I do. He'll pick the right time to make it happen. I'll be honest with you. Last year, I think it was the middle of August, and I was in Craig's office, and I asked him, I go, hey, you getting close to leading PCA off? And he just laughed at me. He said, no, we're not there yet.
You had a word to the wise as well yesterday for Cubs fans, much like you did with us with PCA about Matt Shaw. You want to relay that message?
Yeah, you're talking about the one where Counsell told him, hey, he struck out, he got upset, he came in there, you could tell he was mad, and all of a sudden Counsell stopped him and said, hey, they're going out for defense. He goes, can you make the next play? And PCA told me, he goes, as he ran out to center, he goes, that just freed me up. All I got to do now is go play defense. And I was able to turn the page on a bat at bat. And I'll tell you, I think my favorite story, and a lot of times things need to stay in the clubhouse, but I think this is okay to let it out because it could help a lot of people that are maybe listening right now. In spring training this year, Pete Crow struck out for the second time. He came in and he was throwing stuff around, and one of his bats got away, and it hit Miguel Amaya in the leg. I mean, it didn't hurt anything or whatever. But as he walked off, I'm like, I wanted to say something, but I knew the time wasn't right. So the next day, I bring Dansby Swanson with me, and I tell Pete Crow, I go, hey, what you did yesterday, there's no reason for it. I go, I've seen a lot of fights in dugouts because guys throw things and do things. And I told him, I said, you hit Miguel. I don't know if you know it or not. And Dansby Swanson last spring, the Cubs always have me speak to the minor league guys. Dansby Swanson said something that was outstanding. He goes, in high school, he played with a lot of anger, and it got him in a lot of trouble. When he went to Vanderbilt, they taught him to turn that anger into passion. Anger, there's no place for anger in the game, but we'll take all the passion you got. And I had Pete Crow there, and I go, Pete, you didn't get to go to Vanderbilt. You were gonna, but you didn't. I go, you need to learn what Dansby learned while he was there, and Dansby can help you learn that. And I just really I saw him turn the corner. You know what a dominant spring training he had. we went down to Tokyo. We faced some great pitching. There were a lot of things that went on down there that probably got guys out of sync, but he's right back right now where he's always been.
Yeah, the great Rick Sutcliffe joining us, Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. It's a great story. The other thing is Matt Shaw. And what you said on the air yesterday about Matt Shaw was, hey, I told you this last year about PCA. Don't worry about the struggles. Do you have that much confidence in Matt Shaw's rise coming too?
I know one thing. The guys that in the minor league system, the minor league managers that he's had and the people around him, they have told me that the bat is real. The one thing that scared me was his last at bat in L.A. was against not one of their best relievers, but it was a left-hander that didn't throw hard. And I go, oh, this is it. He's going to dominate now. And he just looked a little out of sync right there. And I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Is he ready right now? For me, the coin is still in the air. But I know one thing. That third base position has been since we lost Ronnie Santo playing down there, Ron Say did a nice job for a couple of years there, but we haven't had anybody fill that hole, and you got to keep hoping that when the coin comes down that it's heads up.
Chris Bryant's going to be pissed at you.
He didn't play third. He played all over. He made a terrific play in Game 7 to bring the World Series home, but his versatility was the real key to 15, 16, 17 with those Cubs teams, because Joe Madden will tell you, I can move him anywhere to help improve our lineup, and it never, ever really hurt our defense.
So speaking of guys that leave voids when they're not there, how do you replace Steele?
Justin Steele?
Yeah.
You don't. You don't, because there's so many intangibles that Justin brings to that team. I saw it in spring training where, he became more vocal. I mean, the leadership was starting to come out in him. He was starting to do things with a lot of the younger guys. I think getting married and having a son Bo's the light of his life. And, I shared with Justin that my whole career turned around when Shelby was born. All of a sudden, it wasn't about just me. I mean, I grew up with nothing. I was put up for adoption. My grandparents raised me, blah, blah, blah. I knew my daughter wasn't going to have to go through what I did. And I know Justin was feeling the same thing. And, the last outing was outstanding. He's off and running, but that elbow flared up on him last year. It's been there a couple of times. And, that doesn't answer our question for this year, but he needs to get it done, and he needs to get back so that we can have that number one out there every fifth day.
Sut, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being an all-out panic, 1 being don't panic at all, where are you on the bullpen?
I'm at a 7.
Oh.
I think you said earlier about Brad Keller. I'm all in there. I've seen him from day one of spring training. He's healthy again. I'm fine with Hodge. I'm fine, with what's going on with Presley down there. I think, and I'm not saying this team's going to win the World Series, but I'm saying back in 2016, there was a huge hole for those last 3 outs of the game, and they went out and filled it with Chapman. And you go back and look at the postseason. The Giants series and a lot of we don't win it without Chapman. We don't get to the World Series without him. So I think this team's in the same place. If you want to get better, if you want to win a division, which you can, you might win it without it. But if you want to have a chance to go deep into the postseason, then you got to go find that guy. You got to come up with I'm not saying a ninth inning. Presley could be that guy, but you got to have a back end piece. And I'll throw one more thing at you that really I believe in. Everybody says Kyle Tucker, what's he going to do? Well, I think he's in the same position I was in 1984. My plan was to go somewhere else. My plan was to, the Yankees were going to offer me a lot of money and all that kind of thing. But all of a sudden, we made the playoffs. Wait a minute. I got a chance to win with this team. I think he's been in the postseason the last 6 years. He wants to play in October. And I think a big part of him coming back and re-signing with the Cubs is going to be getting that opportunity to play postseason baseball.
Do you believe, though, Sut, that Tom, and you know Tom Ricketts well, you know Jed very well, do you think they have an appetite to pay a player $400 million?
I don't know if 400 will do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I will tell you this, and I know Tom's smart enough to realize there's a difference between spending and investing. And Kyle Tucker is a complete player. He's an asset in that clubhouse. He brings everything that you would hope for. And, here's the numbers that I got for tonight. It's all about slugging percentage. Phil Madden, back in spring training in 2015, says we got to help the offense. And he knew what had happened the years before with no slug. They had a lot of guys that could get on base, but there wasn't that 3-run homer coming out. The OPS right now for this Cubs team is 788. Last year, it was 710. It was a boring team to watch offensively. We all know that. What was the slugging percentage in 2016? It was the OPS. It was 772.
Wow.
I mean, it's higher than what it was the year the Cubs won the World Series right now. So I think the biggest part of it, without a doubt, is Kyle Tucker, and it's got a chance to get even better with all of a sudden Pete Crow coming on, and Ian Happ's having a tough April again. Well, he did last year, and he ended up putting up career numbers. You just don't worry about that.
Who's the best of the rest in the NL Central, Sut?
Cincinnati.
Really?
It's all because of their manager, Terry Francona. They got blown out like a week ago, and Tito kind of took it all on himself. And the last time I looked, they'd won 3 in a row, and they're back to 500. And, yeah, they're going to be a handful.
When are you coming to town?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. The reason I live in San Diego now is a couple of years ago, my son, I don't even want to talk about it, but my daughter, Shelby's going through a divorce, and it's almost over with. The boys are great. Ryder and Austin are thriving. They're up at the Deer Valley skiing now with Robin and Shelby. We got to get this divorce over with. And, Marquis has been phenomenal. They've got arms wide open. I'm like you guys. I love listening to Jim DeShays. I think him and Boog are as good as it is out there. I love to keep my foot in the door. I would do more if it wasn't for the family situation, but just like you guys, I mean, the family's always going to come first, and when we get things solidified out here with a little bit more room, then you'll be seeing me back at Wrigley a lot.
Yeah, and Danny Zetterman, our content director, tweeted that you are a Hall of Fame storyteller, but most importantly, Sud, as you tell us there, family first, you're a Hall of Fame dude, and we always appreciate the relationship.
Oh, you guys are the best, man. I missed seeing you in spring training this year. We had some fun on that rooftop, and then, the post party with you guys is always the best.
Yeah, of course. Son, all the best.
And by the way, I'm a tater tot guy. I just put my vote in.
That's right. Yeah, Waddle doesn't understand. Explain to him, son, there are good tater tots and there are bad tater tots.
Absolutely. They got to be crisp, and if you want to have as good as I've ever had, call Freddie over at Murphy's. He's got them waiting on you.
All right, I'm going to call Freddie. I'm going to my first game soon. Sut, you're the best. Always appreciate you.